Good morning, students. Hope you're all doing well. Let's start with the topic GST. So, in this topic, we will cover the meaning of GST, the features of GST, advantages of GST, and disadvantages of GST. Now, the meaning of GST. The GST is known as Goods and Service Tax. That means it is a nationwide tax which has replaced many indirect taxes in India, such as excise duty, VAT, service tax, etc. This GST has been implemented on 1st July 2017. So it is a tax which is levied on both, that is supply of goods and supply of services. So GST in India is a comprehensive, multi-stage and destination based tax that is levied on every value addition. So under the GST regime, tax is levied at every point of sale, whether it is a manufacturing, wholesaler or retailer. So there are generally three types of GST, that is CGST, SGST and IGST. CGST stands for Central Goods and Service Tax. SGST stands for State Goods and Service Tax, and IGST stands for Integrated Goods and Service Tax. Now comes to next, that is features of GST. The most important feature is single indirect tax. As the name indicates, single means this is a single indirect tax in India which is levied at a national level. So it is a single unified tax, which means we don't have to pay any amount of other taxes such as value added tax, excise duty, service tax and all others. And because of this single indirect tax, it has made the tax compliance very easy for the businessman as well as for other cost of goods and services as well. Now, the next feature is based on the principle of destination. Based on the principle of destination means this tax is levied only if they are consumed within the country. And because of this principle, exports are treated as zero rated because this tax is levied at a place where the goods are consumed. So, in this principle of destination, we have come to clear that the tax would accrue to the taxing authority which has a jurisdiction over the place of consumption. Now, the next point is four-tier tax structure. Four-tier means there are four slab rates under the GST regime, which includes number one is 5%. This 5% includes all those goods which are used as normal routine goods, and these goods are taxed under 5% slab rate. This includes essential goods like food items and life-saving drugs like medicines. Next slab rate is 12%, such as apparel items, packed food, nuts, medicines, etc. Under 18%, goods like electronic items, consumer durables, and most services are also included in 18%. Last one is 28%. Under this slab rate, the luxury goods such as car, tobacco, and related drinks are included in the 28% slab rate. So because of these four types of slab rate, this GST is also known as four-tier tax structure. Next one is treatment of export. As we already discussed that this tax is generally based on the principle of destination. So where the goods have been exported to another country, that means in that case exports will be treated as zero rated because the goods are not consumed in this country. Now the goods have been consumed to another country. So this is the basic reason why exports are treated as zero rated supplies. Next one is treatment of imports. Yes, of course, import of goods will be treated as interstate supplies, and because of this it subjects to the IGST as well as basic custom duty. That means when we import the goods from the another country, we have to pay IGST plus some basic custom duties. Next one is items temporarily out of the GST. Yes, still there are some items which are temporarily out of the GST. That means these items are not covered under the GST. GST has been not applied on these items, and this includes petroleum crude, high speed diesel, petrol, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel. For example, the petrol or high speed diesel, these items are still under the control of excise duty. The next feature is threshold limit for the exemption from registration. This is the most important feature of GST, because we all must know about the threshold limit for the exemption, or we can say how much the limit is there for registering ourselves under the GST. So there are generally two cases: in case of suppliers of goods exclusively, and in case of suppliers of goods as well as services. Now first talk about in case of suppliers of goods. Rupees 10 lakh is the aggregate turnover threshold limit for the suppliers of goods. That means if any businessman or any person whose aggregate turnover is below 10 lakhs in case of Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura states, only that person will not be allowed to register under GST. That means if his aggregate turnover is below 10 lakhs, then he is not required to register himself under the GST. But in case of other states like Puducherry, Telangana, Meghalaya, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand, in these states, if aggregate turnover of a person is below 20 lakhs, then he is not required to register himself under the GST. But in all other states except these two categories, like the 4 states and the 6 state categories, on all other states, if the aggregate turnover of a person is below 40 lakhs, then he is not required to register under GST. But if the aggregate turnover of a person is above 40 lakhs, then he must register himself under the GST. Similarly, in case of suppliers of goods and services, and in case of suppliers of only services, the limit is 10 lakh and 20 lakh. Same in the case if the aggregate turnover is below 10 lakhs in case of Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura, then in that case he is not required to register under GST. But if his aggregate turnover is above 10 lakh in all these 4 states, then he must register himself under the GST. Same in the case of other states. If the aggregate turnover of a person is above 20 lakhs, then he must register himself under the GST. But if his aggregate turnover is not above the 20 lakh, he is not required to register himself under the GST. Now, the next feature is ITC. This is the most important feature, that is input tax credit. As the name suggests, it includes two words, input and tax credit. Input means all the materials and services that a supplier acquires in order to manufacture a product or a service. And tax credit means the amount of tax a supplier or a taxable person is able to reduce while paying his output tax. Now, there is two types of taxes, input tax and output tax. Let us know this topic with the help of example. Yes, for example, ABC Limited ready-made garment firm buys a polyester from Mr. X at a rate of rupees 400. That means एक ABC Limited कंपनी है, उसने एक पॉलिस्टर बाय किया है from Mr. X at the rate of rupees 400, and there is a CGST of rupees 40 that he is also to be paid at the rate of 10%. Now, the price of the polyester input will be rupees 440, that means 400 plus 40 rupees GST. Now, the garment manufacturers sell this product at rupees 800 plus tax at the rate of 10%, that is rupees 80. Now, here the output tax, that means output tax is that tax which is paid at the time of output or at the time of sale, and input tax is that tax which he has already paid at the time of purchase of the raw material. So when he purchases the polyester from Mr. X, he had paid rupees 40. So this is input tax rupees 40, and output tax means which he had paid at the time of output or at the time of sale. So at the time of sale, he has paid rupees 80. So input tax credit is 40 because ITC, the formula for ITC is output tax minus input tax. So 80 minus 40 is equals to 40. So the balance net tax payable is rupees 40. That means he has to pay next 40 rupees to the government. The next feature is sequence and restriction for the utilization of ITC. Now we have know about the meaning of ITC. That means input tax credit. That means एक टैक्स क्रेडिट लेना, किसका? इनपुट टैक्स का क्रेडिट लेना. दैट मीन्स कि जो आप टैक्स ऑलरेडी पे कर चुके हो एट द टाइम ऑफ परचेज, उसका एक क्रेडिट लेना एट द टाइम ऑफ सेल. अब जो आपके पास बैलेंस आता है आईटीसी का क्रेडिट होता है, उसको कैसे यूटिलाइज करते हैं, उसमें क्या क्या सीक्वेंस और क्या रिस्ट्रिक्शंस रहती हैं. नंबर 1 इज IGST. अगर वी हैव अ क्रेडिट ऑफ IGST, देन वी हैव टू यूटिलाइज this balance towards first IGST, then CGST, then SGST and UTGST. That means if we have a balance of IGST, we can utilize it towards these 4 GST, that is IGST, CGST, SGST and UTGST. Now, if we have a credit balance of CGST with the government, then we can utilize it towards IGST and CGST. If we have a balance regarding SGST, then we can use it for IGST and SGST. And if we have a balance regarding UTGST, then we can utilize it for IGST and UTGST. So this is a utilized towards payment, but the order of utilization is different. Like if we have a credit balance of IGST, then in that case, first we have to pay only IGST. That means output tax on the IGST. After that, if still there is some balance in IGST, then we can pay CGST, SGST or UTGST. Second, if we have a balance of CGST, then first we have to pay CGST and secondly only IGST. So this is from this we can able to know about if we have a balance regarding CGST, then we have to pay first CGST. If we have a balance of SGST, then first we have to pay only SGST. So if we have a balance of UTGST, first we have to pay only UTGST, and after that we can pay IGST if there is some balance after paying the CGST, after paying the SGST or after paying the UTGST. Now the next feature is classification of goods and services under GST. As we all know that when the GST has been implemented, so all the goods and services has been classified according to some code, and this code is generally known as HSN code. HSN means harmonized system of nomenclature. This HSN code describes us the quality or as well as the quantity or the type of the goods which the carton includes. Now the annual turnover in the preceding financial year is rupees 5 crores or less, then this is the nature of supply for B2B, and the minimum number of digits of HSN code requires is 4. That means कि जिनके annual turnover 5 crore और less है और वो B2B सप्लाई कर रहे हैं, तो उनमें जो HSN कोड लगेगा वो लगेगा 4 डिजिट्स का. नेक्स्ट है, अगर वो B2C में है तब भी HSN कोड कितने डिजिट्स का लगेगा? 4 डिजिट्स का. और अगर मोर देन 5 करोड़ उनकी एनुअल टर्नओवर है और वो चाहे B2B और या B2C सप्लाई कर रहे हैं, तो उसमें HSN कोड लगेगा 6 डिजिट्स का. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जैसे कि अगर हम एडवर्टाइजिंग सर्विसेज की बात करें तो एडवर्टाइजिंग सर्विसेज का HSN कोड है 998361. सो दिस इज अ 6 डिजिट कोड बिकॉज इनकी जो एग्रीगेट एनुअल टर्नओवर है जो वो है वो 5 करोड़ से अबव है. सिमिलरली एक कोड है 998719. दिस इज अ HSN कोड फॉर मेंटेनेंस एंड रिपेयर सर्विस ऑफ मशीनरी एंड इक्विपमेंट. सो हम किसी भी ऐसे एडवर्टाइजिंग सर्विसेज की एजेंसी की या फिर किसी और टाइप ऑफ गुड्स की एग्जांपल दे सकते हैं जिनका एसएसएन कोड 4 डिजिट्स और 6 डिजिट्स का हो. क्लियर? Now, next come to advantages of GST. Very simple. The first one is creating the common national market. Of course, GST जब आया है तो हमारे बाकी जितने भी टैक्सेस है वो सारे एलिमिनेट हो गए और दिस इज अ नेशन वाइड टैक्स. सो एक कॉमन हमें उसने नेशनल मार्केट दे दी है जिसमें कि हर जो टाइप ऑफ गुड्स है वो इक्वली रेट उस पर जो है अप्लाई किया गया है. नंबर 2 इज एलिमिनेशन ऑफ मल्टीपल टैक्सेस. येस ऑफ कोर्स GST आने के बाद बहुत सारे टैक्सेस एलिमिनेट हुए हैं लाइक एक्साइज ड्यूटी जो कि हमारी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के टाइम पे लगती थी, वैट, सेल्स टैक्स, ये सारे टैक्सेस जो है वो GST में सबसम्ड कर दिए गए हैं. नंबर 3 इज प्रिवेंट कास्केडिंग ऑफ टैक्सेस. येस, पहले क्या होता था, टैक्स ऑन टैक्स लगता था. दैट मीन्स एक बार टैक्स लग गया होलसेलर से मैन्युफैक्चरर से होलसेलर, देन होलसेलर से रिटेलर, तो वहाँ पे क्या होता था, हर गुड्स के ऊपर पहले टैक्स लगा, देन अगेन जितनी आपकी वैल्यू आई है उसके ऊपर फुल अमाउंट के ऊपर टैक्स लगाया जाता था, देन उसको एडअप करके फिर थर्ड हमारे जो कंज्यूमर के पास पहुंचा था फिर थर्ड टाइम उसके ऊपर टैक्स लगाया जाता. सो अब जो GST आने के बाद क्या है, एवरी स्टेज पे एक सिंगल टैक्स लगना है, दैट इज GST. सो इससे हमारे कास्केडिंग ऑफ टैक्सेस को ख़त्म कर दिया गया है. नेक्स्ट वन इज इम्प्रूव द ओवरऑल इन्वेस्टमेंट क्लाइमेट. येस ऑफ कोर्स बहुत सारे रियल इस्टेट्स में हमें बेनिफिट प्रूव हुआ है GST बिकॉज इससे जो है हमारी ट्रांसपेरेंसी इंक्रीज हुई है, ट्रांसपेरेंसी इंप्रूव हुई है. इवन रिडक्शन इन द कॉम्प्लेंस कॉस्ट. येस, पेपर वर्क बिल्कुल कम हो गया है. ऑल जो है वो सब ऑनलाइन सिस्टम है, ट्रांसपेरेंट सिस्टम है जिसकी वजह से आपकी कॉम्प्लेंस कॉस्ट, पेपर वर्क सब लेस होकर आपकी कॉम्प्लेंस कॉस्ट बहुत रिड्यूस हुई है. सिंप्लीफाइड एंड ऑटोमेटेड प्रोसीजर्स. येस, GST की रिटर्न फाइल करनी है या फिर GST में आपको अपने आप को रजिस्टर करवाना है, वो सारे जो प्रोसीजर्स है बहुत ज़्यादा सिंप्लीफाइड एंड ऑटोमेटेड है. रिडक्शन इन करप्शन. येस ऑफ कोर्स अगर हम टैक्स इवेड ही नहीं कर पाएंगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली आपकी जो इंडिया में करप्शन है या किसी भी कंट्री में करप्शन है वो ऑटोमेटिकली रिड्यूस हो जाएगी. इम्प्रूव कॉम्प्लेंस. येस, कॉम्प्लेंसेस बहुत ज़्यादा इम्प्रूव हुई हैं इससे क्योंकि ट्रांसपेरेंसी आई है GST में. टैक्स स्ट्रक्चर बहुत ज़्यादा सिंप्लीफाइड कर दिया गया है. रिड्यूस द इंसेंटिव फॉर इवेजन. येस ऑफ कोर्स इसमें इतनी ट्रांसपेरेंसी कि आप किसी भी टैक्स को. एंड द लास्ट वन इज कंपनीज टैक्स बर्डन लाइकली टू कम डाउन. ऑफ कोर्स जब हम कोई टैक्स इवेड ही नहीं कर पाएंगे तो हमारे सारे प्रोसीजर्स भी हैं वो भी सारे ट्रांसपेरेंट हैं अंडर GST regime. So the company's tax burden is likely to come down only because of this transparent tax regime as well as simplified procedures and automated procedures. I hope you all understand the topic of features of GST as well as advantages of GST. Thank you.